everybody, and welcome back to EBnet Stream. Today, I'm joined by Nkosinathi Mahlangu, who is the Youth Employment Portfolio Head at Momentum Group. And he recently published an article to our community on AI and graduates, and whether our kids, really, those of us who have children who are studying at university, whether those graduates should be worried about AI. And I thought I would shamelessly grab the opportunity to get hold of Nkosinathi to alleviate some of my parenting fears. So welcome to EBnet Stream, Nkosinathi.
Thank you so much, Nathalie. It's a great pleasure talking to you.
Well, it's nice having you back. Uh, so help me here. I am a parent. I have two kids at university, and the world is not what it used to be. And certainly in the next few years when they graduate, it won't be what it is now. So give us a bit of background around your article for those who may not have read it, and kind of what the views are for graduates who graduate into this new world.
Yes, thank you so much once again, Nathalie. Yeah, it's, the world is ever changing and, things do evolve. And I mean, we are in the digital era. We have been hearing a lot about the fourth industrial revolution and all those buzzwords that have been accompanying us for the longest of time. And looking at where the youth employment landscape is, or unemployment landscape rather, in the country is, I mean, we're looking at, the ever-growing gap between the skills mismatch. And the question is, where will the skills of today be tomorrow? And the question again is, what are the skills for today? And that's when now AI came into the picture, and that motivated my written piece recently in terms of how do graduates also, navigate the maze in terms of the qualifications they've acquired and the demands in the world of work and what our economy is demanding of us.
I can imagine in your role and in your job, you deal with this on a daily. This is something that kind of fits in and out of our world from a skills perspective. And in terms of your experience and what you are hearing on the ground, what would you say is the most important thing that young folk at university should be thinking about right now?
Well, the first thing that I'd like to say to the young people at the university level and other institutions of higher learning is that please do not panic. We're trying to make sure that we don't, raise panic unnecessarily. However, we need to also paint a much more realistic picture in terms of what the world today looks like and what is required of our graduates should they want to hit the ground running, because we have seen the ever-growing, unemployment rate. And the question is, what is it that we're not doing? Because we do have graduates coming through every year. What happens to those graduates? Are they falling part of the unemployment in the unemployment basket, or do they maybe have skills that are not necessarily in demand? So my advice to young people who are at university at higher institution level is that please make sure that the skills that you are acquiring are also aligned to the world of work that is out there today.
How does one do that when the world of work is changing effectively between yesterday and today almost? As I mentioned before we started recording, I've got two children. One's about to graduate out of varsity and one's just gone in. It's overwhelming as a parent. I don't know what advice to give them. And what advice could you give me to share with them?
Yeah, I mean, it's not entirely up to our youth, that I must say. I mean, it takes, practitioners such as me working in this youth employment landscape. The socio-economic development landscape is drastically, changing. And we also, identify gaps in terms of the gaps between the world of work, the institutions of higher learning, and actually the education system in its own entirety. So what we need to do now is to bridge those gaps in order to inform and alert young people about the skills that are in demand, opportunities that are awaiting them post-graduation, so that by the time they go into first year, second year, third year, or final year in their tertiary education, they have an idea of where to plug in the mainstream economy. So it's a matter of now, before you even tick that box to say, this is the pathway, this is the course I would like to do a bit of research, to say how much of a demand is the skill out there. Is my course still relevant? Or are there any other alternatives? Because to tell you the truth, Nathalie, we don't know what we don't know. And our young people are only exposed to what's in front of them. So it's up to us as corporate South Africa, up to us as, the community at large, whether it's the public, the private partnerships that we always talk about, to say, how do we make sure that young people are met halfway so that we bridge that gap when it comes to the skills mismatch, so that they confidently take on courses and pathways that will guarantee them economic activity at the end of graduation.
I'm reminded by a sentence, quite a powerful sentence I heard at a conference recently, where it goes something along the lines of, in an AI world, IQ trends to zero. I thought, crumbs. What would you say the skills are when in an AI world, I can go onto my laptop that I'm talking to you through and get the answer to basically any actuarial sum my daughter might be learning how to do, or some poor graduate in medicine is busy learning about. The AI is already designing drugs to remedy ailments and sicknesses. What skills are we talking here?
Definitely true. I like that statement and the angle that you're presenting here, Nathalie, because it's all about the what. What are we using AI for? Like in everything, there's pros and cons. We've seen how, when computers were introduced years ago, people were like, well, this is the end of it. Computers are going to take over our lives. They're going to take off our jobs. I mean, we have microwaves, we have air fryers in our kitchens, but it doesn't stop mom and dad from cooking. So it's all about the what, in as far as how do we incorporate AI into the today way of living, into the world of work for today, to say it is here not to entirely replace, however, to reshape and enhance the current way of work. So we need to make sure that we are forever wearing our upskilling hats, to say, in as much as you have graduated, you have acquired the skills, now you're getting the experience. Don't forget to keep up with the pace, because in this digital era, AI is something that we cannot do away with. However, we can be part of this ever-changing, trajectory, to say, how are we playing a role as humans in making sure that AI is enhanced and also enhancing our world of delivery, but not necessarily taking away everything, which is why I didn't want young people to panic at this point in time, but look at AI as a tool that can also enhance and also open new doors to new opportunities, new skills that are coming, with what the digital world demands of us.
It's so interesting. If I look back at my parenting journey, and for those of you who are watching and kind of don't know my story, I have an 18-year-old and a 22-year-old, and soon to be 19-year-old, although she thinks she's 35. But my parenting journey has been very much based on the ability to synthesize information, get a lot of information, make sense of it. That skill has been rapidly replaced by AI. And the skill to me is almost one level higher than that, and that is to prompt correctly. So it's almost to see the full picture and then almost to build a story from the top down as opposed to the bottom up. We hear sentences like prompts are becoming new business assets, which is actually not unfounded. And so, would you agree with that these are skills that, in fact, we can't run away from anymore?
We definitely can't run away from, and it makes the whole thing much more exciting, because nothing is as copy and paste and routine as it used to be before. And it's a challenge that we have to embrace. It's a challenge that we have to see the growth elements or the potential of growth that it comes with. I mean, we used to say a picture tells 1,000 words, but the question is, does it still tell 1,000 words? Because with AI now, pictures can be manipulated, don't they? So do they still tell 1,000 words as we referenced them to be a couple of years ago? So that's why I say it's on the why we're using AI and on the what AI is being used for, so that when we look at AI in the world of work, AI in advancing opportunities of economic activity for our young people, then that's when we need to brace AI to say, wait a minute, what other opportunities is AI bringing? What is it that I didn't know then that I need to know now in order for me to coexist with AI. The human element will never be, getting away of or getting ridden of, because we still need the human aspect, the human element into whatever we're doing. Look at the banking sectors. ATM came, and then we still have tellers at the branch. However, a lot of banking services have been automated, but we still have the human personnel also looking after other areas of banking. And if I may bring it closer to our world as Momentum Group, in that financial advice, I mean, we have seen a lot of financial advice, financial planning that has been happening on various digital platforms, but that doesn't take away the in-person interaction when it comes to financial advice, because finances still is a personal matter. So we still need to strike a balance in terms of how do we upskill, how do we enhance the knowledge and the skills that we have and that our young people have, in order for that to coexist and also support, the work that AI is fundamentally doing.
EBnet is proud to bring you top quality content from experts across the financial services industry in South Africa and internationally, all for free. Your support helps us in doing this. All we ask is that you subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button below, share this video with others you think will benefit from it, and give us a thumbs up if you are enjoying the content. That way, you help us help you. Thank you from the team at EBnet. For more great content, please visit www.ebnet.co.za.
I'm struck by the word discernment and discretion. That is going to become a superpower. What is real, what is not real. And the ability, because as much as AI can be used for good, it can be used for bad. And the ability to be able to test that in a kind of a reasonable sort of man scenario, and going, and saying, interrogating it, and is it real or is it not? Does it have endemic, biases that it's been trained on, hallucinating, all these words? And so, so the skills of tomorrow are very different to the skills that, that existed yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, and the signs have been there over the years. Looking at the sci-fi movies we've been watching in the 80s, the Star Wars of this world, and little did we know that actually that's where the world is heading towards, but not in all the scary part of it and all that, but looking in terms of how can technology advance, our day-to-day living? How can technology enhance what we used to do in those repetitive, monotonous tasks? But AI or the digital scope of it can actually make it much more time efficient, much more neater, much more quicker, but not necessarily eliminating the human aspect of it. Looking in the newsrooms now, junior copywriters or junior editors, that can be done via AI, but it doesn't take away the role of an editor, because at the end of that, before that story goes out, before it gets published, there has to be a human eye to make sure that everything, is authentic as it should be, and everything is where it's supposed to be, because there are other nuances that only a human element can pick up, not AI at this instance. So it's more of a coexistence way of moving forward.
Thank you for using the editor example, so at least my job feels safe for a little bit longer. but I'm gonna add some color to that story, because the other day I was using AI for I was researching something to write a paper or an article, and I got an answer and it just felt wrong. And I thought to myself, "Ooh, this feels wrong." And then I was saying to myself, "What about it feels wrong? What sentence?" And I was able to interrogate what was positioned to me. But I am able to do that by virtue of 30 years in an industry, where I kind of know the nuance. You used the word nuance.
Yeah.
How does a graduate build that experience if the junior editor role is now no longer available to them?
Well, I think it's more about the effective utilization of the tools that are at one's disposal, because now, as a junior editor or someone who would like to, break it into that space, you now are being made aware that AI is a tool that you can use effectively to enhance. But we're not saying AI will write all the stories for us. However, we still have to apply ourselves because we are the ones on the ground, but AI can maybe help in terms of, laying it or giving us that solid foundation we need. But in terms of the building blocks of that particular insert, that story, we still need authentic journalism to also, apply themselves onto that. So for those who are, the young entrants, the new entrants into the world of work, especially for those in those roles, we're saying look at AI as an enabler, but don't look at AI as a threat, because you are the talent that the potential employer is sourcing. So you are the talent that can also use AI to advance, your career aspirations. So it's a matter of utilizing the tools effectively and also making sure that you still, have your fingerprint, so to say, on the work that you do, not letting AI to carry out the work from A to Z, because that wouldn't be authentic and that would also pose problems. As we have seen in most institutions of learning, they also detect if your assignment has been AI generated, or did you apply your mind, apply your learnings. So the human side of things is still, what we need to make sure that goes very much to the fore.
I want to add a comment to your views on using plagiarism checkers to see whether AI has done your assignments. One of the universities in South Africa has actually become the first to say they don't care whether you use AI. They're going to start assessing in a way that tests whether you've used AI appropriately. And so really, you talk about the learning institutions hopping on the bandwagon and actually facilitating skills. They are not running away from it. Certainly the schools might still be. They're a little bit nervous, but I am aware of one of the universities who's already said, we don't care if you've written it with AI. We're going to ask questions in such a way that we will test your usage, not only or your knowledge of the material, but also your ability to use the AI to support that. So that's great, right? You can see the momentum shifting. Excuse the pun.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, checks and balances needs to be in place. We need those checks and balances in place. In as much as we embrace AI, it makes life a whole lot easier, but it also need not, aid us to cheat, for lack of a better word, because we still need to make sure that us as human, we also, have a very much bigger role to play in terms of, whether it's solution finding or even research. Because I remember not so many years ago, everyone went to Google to look for answers. But I mean, not everything you get on Google should be taken as gospel. So those are the things that we need we need to look to also be wary of, to say, yes, AI is there, even though some institutions of high learning saying, yes, use use AI. However, they will be able to check in terms of how was the use of AI in this. Did AI take over completely, or did it also help you in terms of, putting your point across?
And they do.
Yeah.
Such a great chat. Thank you very much for taking the time. I love the sentence, and I'm going to wrap it up with the sentence that I will definitely use with my kids, and that is the one that you said that goes along the lines of, you are the talent. And so you can have this AI. With AI will come problems that we can't even imagine yet. And the real value, I guess, is in the ability to solution for those. With a tool that hasn't been taught or trained on those problems. And so there is always this need for creativity, solutioning, discernment, interrogation, all those skills.
Yes. Human interaction, we cannot do away with that. Yes, we embrace AI. Yes, it is a tool that we can use optimally. It's a tool that we can use effectively. However, we still not forget that the human intervention, the human element of the equation is still quite key in whatever we do.
Nkosinathi, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to chat to us today and for adding some more color to this AI conversation that is happening all around us, and giving us a youth perspective. They certainly are growing up in quite a stressful world, dealing with issues that we didn't even imagine.
No, thank you so much, Nathalie. And I'm glad that I'm speaking to you directly, not through a chatbot. So we can
That's what you think.
we can still have that. And this is definitely not a hologram, I suppose.
I'm actually
Or an
liking having a nap.
avatar.
Thank you very much, Nkosinathi. Keep well.
It's an absolute pleasure. Have a lovely day.